One of the toughest jobs Tri-Fivers face when restoring their vent windows is the reinstallation of that heavy rubber seal that seals the vent window when it's cranked closed. But I found a way to make it a little easier, and we'll talk about that next here in the Shade Tree Garage. Welcome back to the channel, guys. And if you're working on vent windows on your Tri-Five Chevy, you are familiar with this frame. This is the frame that your vent window goes in, and it pivots when you open or close it. Now, this rubber gasket, there's a fairly small metal frame. You can see the backside of it there. This heavy rubber gasket has to fit in a channel in this metal, and it has to be to press fit. And a lot of Tri-Fivers complain about how difficult it is, and several say it's one of the hardest steps in refurbishing your vent windows. Let's talk about how a lot of people put the gasket in. They'll place one side of the gasket in the channel, and then they will peel back the gasket here and use a butter knife or other blunt, flat tool and press it up in there. And they'll go around the whole thing that way, first securing one side and then coming around, pulling the gasket open and pushing it in that way. Well, I found a whole lot easier way to do that. I just kind of stumbled across it. In fact, I was so doubtful this was going to work, I didn't even set the camera up to record it. I had this gasket in place in less than 3 or 4 minutes. Once I got started, it was simple. And this may save you a lot of time and fears. Now, I was afraid if I used the screwdriver method that I would poke a hole right through this gasket. I didn't want to do that. I paid too much for this stuff. And so I'll tell you what I did. All right, on several spots here in the shop, I keep a can of 3-in-1 oil. And while I was trying to do the other method of getting this gasket stuck in that track, I thought, well, if I could lubricate this thing a little bit, I bet I could get it slid in. So I started on this end, and I lubricated the inside track down to about the corner, and I lubricated the back side of this gasket. And then so I tried to push it in manually, and it wasn't working. I couldn't push hard enough to get that part of the gasket in the back to pop in that track. So, and I just happened to have a pair of vice grips. And I know you're thinking, vice grips, ouch. And a big pair of vice grips. So, after I got everything lubricated in line, I put the jaws of the vice grip on the bottom and the top and made sure that the top was going to close pretty much in the center of this gasket, along the center line, so it would apply pressure, not too much, but enough to push that gasket down in that channel and capture it. So once I finished this piece up in no time, this section, and then I lubricated the track and the gasket on the inside all the way around, and I will tell you, I had this thing done in no time, and it was fairly easy. Now, this corner was a little tricky because you've got all the bracket. You've got all this stuff to work around, but I found that turn this around and you can hook your vice grips here and apply pressure, and it'll seat that gasket. So it made it a whole lot faster. And I've seen a couple of YouTubers do it, prying around the edge, and I had this thing done in no time, and no damage to the gasket. Now, I'm not saying crank the vice grip down like a vice. You just want to use the jaws to apply enough pressure to push that lubricated channel, that lubricated rubber piece into that channel. And that's all it takes. And it was simple. Let's see, I failed to capture it on video. I had no idea if it would work. And I will tell you another tip. I've seen guys work on this bracket and try to put this gasket on while it's still attached to the approximately 3-foot fuzzy channel that the fuzzy's on the other side. I recommend drilling the rivets out and making it its own separate piece. It's a whole lot easier to work on the bench when you don't have 3 feet of channel sticking out on one side. That's the easy way to put this rubber gasket on, and I would highly recommend giving it a try. Now, I will tell you, I know this isn't the first time somebody's used some sort of lubricant to get this thing put in, but it sure, well, to coin a phrase, it sure greased the wheels of progress on getting this vent window done. All right, that's it for the Shade Tree Garage today, guys. If you've liked this video, please share it, subscribe, and I'd appreciate you giving me a thumbs up. All right, that's it. We'll see you next time here in the Shade Tree Garage.